As a freelance writer, he has sold over 150 articles on topics like travel, art, food, wine, boating, pop culture, and parenting. And joining us today is freelance author and writing instructor, Treadwell. And it's nice to have you here today on a rainy day. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, and one of the things that well, let's just stop for just a moment and kind of just maybe you could give us a little background on some of the things that you have done and when you started and how you got into all this.
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. Started out right after college writing short stories. Wanted to be the next Stephen King. Wow. Wrote a lot of horror and suspense. And I just love the written word so much. Anything that involves putting words together, I've done. Fiction, nonfiction, short projects, long projects, even dabbled with screenwriting. So anything involving writing.
And how long have you been doing that? I mean, what was the first thing you did?
Right after college, sold the short stories. So that's been almost 30 years now.
Yeah. So you've been able to fulfill that dream, very much so.
It's what I love. Yeah. So
it's something that is, and recently, some of the things that, and it's always gets very big attention still when it's in the news, and is capital punishment. And apparently this is a subject that you have studied extensively, wrote two books, right? And what are the name of the books?
The first one is Last Supper's Famous Final Meals from Death Row, and the most recent one is Death Row's Oddest Inmates.
Oh, so these are some kind of oddities about this too, as well as some of the controversy.
Yes,
with it.
yes.
Well, tell me a little bit of some of the things that you have found, and you were saying Tennessee, not a state that we have too much of that going on.
No, only 6 executions here in the last 40 years. Compare that to over 500 in Texas.
Right. Yeah, so. I think that we are. Yeah, Texas always seems to get into the news that way.
Yes, they are at the top of the list.
Yeah. So you were talking about oddest. Well, tell me about that.
Well, the way it started with the book Last Suppers, my co-author on that, Michelle Vernon, said, every time there's a newspaper article about an execution, they always list the last meal of the condemned person. Obviously, this is something that people are interested in. We can make a whole book about this. Yeah. I said, you're crazy. She turned out to be right. We made a book about it. It was popular all over the world. While researching that book, we found out there were so many other odd little facts about death row inmates that don't show up in the typical newspaper articles. Just strange, unusual things about their lives, both before their crimes, after their crimes, while in prison. It's just a fascinating segment of the population. I mean, just like athletes, actors, musicians, death row inmates live a lifestyle that most of us cannot even imagine. So
yes, I'd imagine so. Yes, I mean, I've been asked before, what would your last meal be? I mean, I think that's probably a lot of people have. And so people say, well, some people, they want to have a very fancy dinner or a very expensive dinner. And for me, it's always been like, I just want like the finger foods and that'd be it. Just give me everything I can and then I'd be done.
Right.
That'd probably be what I would do. What have you found?
It all depends, and it also depends on which state you're executed in, because every state has different rules. Oh,
you might not be able to get like the chips and dip then.
Exactly. If you're in Florida, you can get your steak, seafood, fancy desserts, anything you like. Texas, it's just whatever they're serving that day. So it really depends.
I guess that's because they're doing more of them, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, but yeah, potential criminals plan your crime carefully if your last meal is important to you.
I gotcha. Tell me real quick here, are you working on something else as far as capital punishment?
I am working on a book devoted to the women of death row right now. Okay.
Well, we wish you luck in all that.
Thank you.
It's still a controversial subject, I know that. And you can get more information at www.treadwell.com. And there's some of the book covers. That's very interesting. And I don't know if I'm more hungry now or less, but it was very nice to meet you. We will
you too, Bill.
talk to you soon. Okay, thank you. Coming up after the break, we find out what Bethany Christian Services can offer and more information on what to expect with our weather, which is going to be changing here. We're going to have a weathercast here as well to get you updated on that.